certificate, 1 letter of recommendation, and a personal statement. We use the common application, and there's no application fee to apply. So for graduate students, we're looking for transcripts from all colleges and universities a student attended with a minimum GPA of 3.0, 3 letters of recommendation, a personal statement. Through spring 2021, we're waiving the GMAT. GRE is not needed for any grad programs unless the program director requests it. And some grad programs only admit for the fall term, such as our software engineering. They're making an exception this year, but our chemistry is fall admit only. The graduate application is also free to apply, and that can be found at scranton.edu/grad apply, which is at the bottom of this slide. So admissions requirements for all international students, to issue the I-20 for the F1 visa, a certification of finances is required. Undergraduate, that amount is $66,218. If a student receives a scholarship, for example, $20,000 a year, they subtract that and they only need to submit a COF of $46,218. Graduate students, the certificate of finances is $42,927, with the exception of our Doctor of Business Administration is at a higher cost. They would need to submit a COF of $72,079. And then for English proficiency, if a student has not studied in secondary high school or at a college or university in 100% English, then we do need proof of English proficiency. So we're looking for either an 80 on the TOEFL, 6.5 on the IELTS. Duolingo has become very popular because you can take this exam online at home on your computer. So we're looking for a 105. And if you do take the SATs, a minimum of a 500 on the evidence-based and reading and writing section, or completing to ELS level 112. So undergraduate tuition room board fees, just over $59,000 a year. And then graduate tuition, it's $965 per credit. And then the DBA program is $1,888 per credit. And then different programs vary on the number of credits they have. So merit-based scholarships for undergraduate students, I know your schools more than likely do not rank, but for GPA, a 2.95, 1080 SAT, but SATs and ACTs are not required for scholarship. If you apply test optional without SAT or ACT scores and you're submitting the TOEFL or the Duolingo or the IELTS, you can still be considered for scholarship and apply test optional. Scholarships range from $14,000 to $25,000 per year. We don't have scholarships for graduate school, but we do have a limited number of graduate assistantships available. So for more information about undergraduate application process at the University of Scranton, you can go to scranton.edu/apply, and the graduate application, scranton.edu/gradapply. And then my information here is in the lower left-hand corner. And also social media, a lot of up-to-date information, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So that's my presentation. Thank you for listening. And if anyone, yeah, thank you.
And also Creative Vision will be there for help students for everything. Thank you, Stacy, for your presentation. Last and not least, Wade.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Had a little trouble finding it. Okay, once again, my name's Wade Bird. I'm the Associate Director for Admission at Seattle University. Seattle U is a mission-driven university. We are also, like Scranton, we are also a Jesuit Catholic university. To the core of our mission is the care of students first, academic excellence.
Sorry, Wade, I just wanted to jump in. You're sharing the presenter view.
Uh-oh.
Yes, now it's okay.
How's that?
I think, Wade, you're sharing the entire monitor rather than the window. So I think the way I usually do it is if I go into presenter view first, you have multiple monitors?
Yeah.
On the one monitor, I share that specific monitor, and that is the main presentation on it. But right now you're sharing, I think, your other monitor. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. No problem. We've all been there.
I have several monitors going all at once.
Okay.
So you saw behind the curtain a little bit. That's all right. So care of students, academic excellence, meaning that we value learning and have great teachers and active students and scholars. We respect diversity, faith, justice, and one of the keystones of our university is leadership formation. That's leadership for the common good. We're located in downtown Seattle. Our campus is kind of interesting because even though we're right downtown, when you walk on campus, it's kind of like a park. It feels like a very traditional, almost small town campus, but then you walk right off of campus and there's the whole city, which we very much use as an extension of the classroom with different opportunities with internships and such. A lot of key landmarks around us, this Pike Place Market, the Space Needle, our sports stadiums, and so on. Coffee shops everywhere. I don't think you can throw a brick and not hit a coffee shop in Seattle. There's very famous music venues right off of campus. You might know that Seattle's known for its music scene. People like Macklemore actually hang out on our campus. And we're also surrounded by very diverse, interesting neighborhoods. To the south of us is the International District, which is, the idea is that's Chinatown, Japantown, Little Korea, and so on. So lots of great food and festivals, things like that. To the east of us is what's called the Central District. It has Little Ethiopia. It's the traditional African-American neighborhood. To the north of us is Capitol Hill, which is it's kind of the arts district. Lots of, as I mentioned, music venues, art galleries, great restaurants, other things you might have seen on the news. And then to the west of us, we're just maybe a 15, 20-minute walk to the water in downtown. So 100% of our classes are taught by faculty. That means they have the highest degree in their field. So there's no teaching assistants at Seattle U. You have all full professors, which are often also your faculty advisors. So you have you have the full advantage and access to them. Average class size we keep small. We think it helps with learning, and especially the type of learning we do is you sort of come to the knowledge together. It's very little lecturing at Seattle U, a lot more project-based. You can see there that our student to faculty ratio is 11:1. So once again, very small. Total population about 7,100 with 4,700 of those being undergraduates. Most of our students come from outside Washington State, and a lot of them are West Coast, but we pull from every state and territory in the Union, and also from about 70 different countries. Overall, international students are about 11% of our population. So you can see here, our last fall, we had 930 freshmen. You can see where our middle 50% stacks out. We also have a big transfer cohort. Seattle has a lot of very large community college, a very strong community college system in the region, which is a valid pathway to getting your degree. So we take advantage of that. So about a quarter of our class are transfer students. You do get the benefit of direct entry to our programs, so you don't have to apply to the university first and then hope later you get into the program or wait for a space to open up in a program. If you don't know what you want, that's okay. We have pre-major advising, so they'll help you choose and sort of hone in what you eventually want to study. Nice thing about just the way education is structured in the US, it's pretty easy for most majors in those first 2 years, which are considered sort of the more liberal arts section or the general studies section of the way the degrees are designed. It's pretty easy to change majors in those first couple years. After that, it gets a little harder. We also have pre-professional advising. Those are special advisors if you want to do something like law or medicine, dental, pharmacy. What they do is they make sure you're taking the right classes to get you into the schools that you are interested in. They assist you. They don't do it for you, but they assist you with the portfolio. And so a lot of our pre-professional students, so they might have a degree in biology, but they're pre-med or something like that, actually have a pretty high chance of getting into med school, which is, of course, nationally very competitive, but it gives them an edge. At SU, the first 2 years on campus, you're required to live on campus. We create themed communities, which it's not required to join, but there's different themes like environmentalism, sustainability. It kind of changes by the nature of the class coming in, but that's really where your networks often grow out of. We do a lot of programming out of our residence life. A lot of our sort of dedication to service comes out of our residence life. Let's see. We have well over 100 clubs. You can see we have a lot of different culture clubs. There's much more than just that. And great resources like we have the Indigenous Peoples Institute, which is rather new. There's a lot of tribes in the Pacific Northwest, and we honor those. One that I will highlight is UREC. We have a new UREC center. That's where the gym is. They don't like us to call it the gym because they say it's more than a gym, because it is. But all of our workout facilities are there. But they also have things like baking, esports are ran out of there. You can check out hiking equipment or camping equipment or canoes, things like that. Also, a lot of students are very involved in our community, and since service learning is a component of most of our teaching, there's the Center for Student Involvement, and which really connects you with those nonprofits, so you can work that into your degree, and it looks great on your resume.
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know if it's just me or there's just one slide stuck here. CLU, your name and your title, but I don't think we can see anything else. Samah, is it just me or you can only see that one slide as well?
I saw only one slide. It's freezing,
okay.
I think. By the time that you check the slides, اخواني الطلبه انا ارحب في جهاد، مستر جهاد من السفاره الكنديه، ومستر فاسيليتي من السفاره الكنديه، راح يبتدون معانا بعد 5 دقائق. شكرا. Yeah, now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah, they're not lining up for some reason.
That's okay.
It's very early morning, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, guess I'm gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Always works old-fashioned.
So, so thanks for being so patient and letting me just sort of wax on there. So applying to SU, I think the majority of you would not be transfer students. So I'll concentrate on the first year application. Like my counterparts before, we're also a common application school. SAT and ACT are optional. Like what was said earlier, if you send it to us, we will consider it, but it is an option. And that's just because it's become a bit more difficult to take. We're going to need your official transcript, your education documents from your school. It's totally fine if they upload it to us, or if they send it to me directly. That is okay. We know it's a little more difficult right now to get a hold of those. 2 letters of recommendation. These are actually the least important parts of the application. We'll complete your application without them, but we want one from a teacher and one from your counselor. Your counselor is the most important one. So if you're only going to send one, try and get it from your high school counselor. We prefer both. We'll complete with none. And if applicable, so if English is not your primary language, you'll need either TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, or PTE. So that's all pretty standard, I think, with most of the people who have spoken so far. We do have a couple different deadlines. Are you looking at the applying to SU holistic review right now?
Yes. Yeah, this is the one we're looking at.
So strange. I have different things going on. So this is how we look at it. It's called holistic review. We look at the rigor of your program. So do you have some IB? Do you have some AP? That sort of thing. It's not, if you don't, that doesn't that doesn't doom your application or anything. It's just something we take into consideration. We look at your grade trend over time. So if you start off a little weaker in your grades, but you get better, that's great. That's what education is all about. If you start off strong and you end up struggling, we're going to want to know about that. If they're kind of all over the place, kind of up and down, we're going to ask some questions about that too, about the inconsistency. I mentioned ACT and SATs. Those, like I said, are optional. We're going to look at the major prerequisites. So that means if you are taking, for example, some type of engineering, we're going to want to make sure that you've taken math and physics. If you go to our webpage and just how to apply section, it'll tell you the different fields that you need. But if you're going to take biology, we want to see that how you've done in biology or even taken it in high school. It's pretty obvious usually. We will be looking at your leadership and activities. So that's the resume that's in the Common Application. We like to see well-rounded individuals because our student body tends to be very active and interconnected, very much a community that works together. So we're going to want to see that, what else are you doing? Are you taking all your time just to study, or are you involved in other ways? Volunteering through your church, sports, student government, just there's a variety of ways to show involvement. With it, there's going to be 3 essays. One is the Common Application essay, that's kind of the longest one. And there's some prompts out there. They were published, I think, in August. So you could look those up. And that's standard to everyone who's using the Common Application. That's kind of the ease of it, because you can use that prompt for multiple essays, for multiple applications. Then with it, there'll be the sort of why SU, why Seattle University essay. That's just because we want to know that you have checked us out, that it's not sight unseen. Because it's not just us trying to decide if you should come to SU. We want to make sure that you are going to enjoy your studies and fit well at SU. So we just want an idea that you've looked us up, looked into us, and it's something that you're actually interested in. The third essay is kind of our fun one, and it has questions like, tell us about 5 songs that you enjoy and why. What's a podcast you listen to? Why does it inspire you? Different things like that. They sort of change each year, but there's several different options with that. What's a book you've read? Why did it? Why was it important to you? We're looking a little bit for reflection there, but we're also just looking to get to know you some. And once again, I mentioned the letters of recommendation. They're not absolutely required, but we do like having those. And then with that, we have 2 deadlines. We have the early action deadline, which is November 15th. Early action is basically for your peace of mind. If you find a program at SU that you're very interested in, go ahead and apply early action. To us, it doesn't mean much difference than regular decision. It's not preferred or not. It just has to do with if you're certain, we'll give you the answer earlier. And usually you get that answer around December. And then regular decision is January 15th, and you get those usually by March 1st. So scholarships, you can see here our tuition, room and board, estimated cost of attendance. So we're about 65,000, almost 66. Most of our students do get scholarships because we admit good students. And you can see there our merit scholarships says from 8 to about 25,000. I've rarely seen it less than about 15, and I've actually seen it go up above 25,000. We do very much a holistic review with our scholarships. It's not just like, what's your grade? This is your test. This is your scholarship, or what's your test score? And this is your scholarship. It's not like a grid. We actually take into the whole consideration your application, and that's what kind of varies with the scholarship. So please, if you have questions and or if you want to talk one-on-one, keep in touch. There's my email address, phone number. I'm happy to take your questions. If you do apply and need help with it, go ahead and reach out. I am the one who reads the applications from this region. So if you're here, go ahead and put it on your application that you came to this event, that you worked with Creative Vision. We will take that into consideration because that really shows intent. So all things equal, if I know you took the time to come and see me, I'll probably give the seat to you. So thank you for your patience with my technology issues. I have more PowerPoints going on right now than I know what to do with.
Thank you, Wade, for everything.
Much.
Thank you. It was a lovely presentation. Can hand the speech now for Mr. Jihad. Jihad, are you here? Jihad?
Yes, hi Samah, how are you?
هاي
I'm here.
نرحب في الأخ جهاد من السفارة الكندية. طبعا هو راح يستلم الآن اللقاء مع الجامعات الكندية والقنصلية الكندية. فيا ليت مستر جهاد تعرف نفسك وتعرف الآخرين.
شكرا أخ سماح، شكرا على التعريف، وحبلش هلا بالبرزنتيشن إن شاء الله بالإنجليزي أعرف عن الكل كمان. First of all, hi everybody. Thank you, Mr. Samah, for the introduction. My name is Jad Maki, and I'm the Trade Commissioner responsible for the education sector at the Embassy of Canada in Kuwait. I'm very glad to be here, and I'm glad to always see continued interest in Canadian education from students here in Kuwait. I'm also glad to be joined by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, and representatives from 5 Canadian universities with us today, that we're looking forward to hearing from all of them. We have, let me start by introducing everyone first. We have Felicity Smith, First Secretary of Migration from IRCC Abu Dhabi. We have Kelvin Brooks representing Carleton University, Kate Holiday representing Concordia University, Chris Vickers and Scott McDonald representing Dalhousie University, Shannon Bracken representing Ontario Tech University, and Carl Sachs representing York University. So just to give everyone a brief about the schedule we're going through for this presentation, we're going to start off with a short Study in Canada info presentation, which is presented by the university representatives. This is going to be followed by a presentation from each representative about their respective universities. And finally, we're going to have a presentation by Felicity at the IRCC regarding study permits. After all that's done, given time permitting, we'll hope for a short question and answer from the attendees here, and we'll see how that goes. So I'll pick it up with Carl first, so we can start off with the Study in Canada info session.
Fantastic, thank you, Jad. I'm going to do a quick screen share, and then we can get started. Give me a moment. Okay. Fantastic. And I just want to see, can everyone see a screen that says welcome, bienvenue on their screens right now?
I do.
Thanks,
yes,
Kate.
we're putting thumbs up, Carl. I don't think you can see us, but yes.
Maybe I can't, I don't think I can see everybody. I just kind of minimized a few of you. That's all right. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So hello, welcome, bienvenue. I hope you're all happy and healthy over in Kuwait as we move through this often difficult COVID-19 situation. Joining us again today is Calvin from Carleton University, Kate from Concordia University, Scott from Dalhousie University, Shannon from Ontario Tech University, and myself, Carl Sachs from York University. In a normal year, we would all be in Kuwait right now, visiting schools and meeting with students and parents. Unfortunately, we won't be able to visit Kuwait in person until at least 2021. But we're happy to have a chance to speak with you all today. So we're looking forward to providing you with a whole lot of information about studying in Canada, and then each of our universities will be providing some additional information about what makes our universities unique. Let's get started. So these are some pictures from our beautiful country, Canada. And for those who don't already know, we are the second largest country in the world. We have diverse landscapes and access to beautiful natural environments. We are well known for things like maple syrup and ice hockey. But We are also well known for being a peaceful and safe place, our very strong economy, and our stable political system. And we are also a welcoming and diverse country, and we appreciate people from other countries, cultures, backgrounds, and religions coming to Canada. And of course, Canada is a great destination for students due to our very strong university education system. So we have many different university options and unique communities for students to call home across our country. So next I'll pass it over to my colleague, Kate.
Of course, thanks, Carl. So Carl mentioned there are great university system in Canada, and it is incredibly diverse. Throughout the country, you'll find almost 100 universities and about 125 colleges. A quick note on the difference between the two, because the terminology in Canada we use is a little bit different. Universities are usually where you go for a 3 to 4 year bachelor's degree. You might go on to a master's or PhD afterwards. And oftentimes colleges, you'll find more technical programs. Oftentimes they're a little bit shorter, maybe 2 years. But there are some colleges that also offer bachelor's degrees. All of us here represent universities in Canada. The majority of universities in Canada are public. So this is important to know because it means that across the board, no matter where you go to university in Canada, you're going to get a great quality of education. There's no wrong choice in Canada. And I think that's really important for you to know as a student looking at your options. There's so many great potential universities, but because we receive all of our funding, or we all receive funding rather from the Canadian government and our provincial governments, we're required to maintain the same standard of education across the board. So no matter where you go, you're going to receive a great degree that'll be recognized internationally afterwards. There's also a wide diversity of programs, anything from engineering to computer science, to the natural sciences, journalism, humanities, a really broad overview. And you'll find some really cool niche programs as well. So I think, Carl, you were talking about a space engineering program that they have at York, and Ontario Tech has Canada's only nuclear engineering program. So some really niche ones as well. You'll find a lot of variation in university sizes. So if you want to be in a small community with 1,000 other students, get to know each other really well, you can find that in Canada. Or if you want to be in a school that has 90,000 students, that has a large university campus life, you can find that too. So it's really important to look into the size of the university to get a sense of what you can expect when you're on campus. These other 2 points here, this flexibility and the interdisciplinary nature of the classes you'll be taking, I think is really important, because if you're not quite sure what you want to study, you'll often find in Canada that you have the flexibility to mix and match in multiple areas of study. So if you want to study both business and computer science, or you want to do both communications and French, you can do multiple things together to create a unique university experience that's based on the things that you specifically are passionate about. So you don't have to choose just one course of study. That being said, if you are super set on one specific thing, engineering, for example, at Concordia, you'll pretty much only take engineering courses. So you will find some of that as well. It's also interdisciplinary, like I said, so you have that freedom to take classes in other areas that are outside of your main program of study. So even if you are a computer science student, maybe you do want to try taking a French class, or you want to take a Canadian history class, or whatever it might be, you can often do that. And then finally here, I think this is a really great stat. So 96% of international students who came and studied in Canada recommend it as a study destination for their friends, family, whoever it might be. And this is a really strong factor, I think, and it shows that students enjoy the experience that they're getting here. So they want their friends and family to be having a similar experience that they had when they're in Canada as a student. Do you want to head to the next slide, Carl? And then in terms of the admission side of things, we can go a bit more in detail with our specific universities a little bit later on, and I think someone else is touching on it as well. A couple, I guess, terminologies to know. Advanced standing is available often for students if you are coming from something like the British system, or you are doing an international baccalaureate program. If you don't know what those mean, you can just ignore what I'm saying. But if you are completing one of those, you may have advanced standing, and it might shorten the time of your degree in Canada. And you'll find that most universities are really strong in this area that's called experiential learning. So this is a huge benefit to coming to Canada. Experiential learning means getting outside of the four walls of your classroom and taking what you're learning and applying it in a practical, real world, professional setting. So you're not just in your classroom for 3 or 4 years, you're out in the workplace building professional experience. And oftentimes you'll find those internships that you're doing can be paid as well, which is a great advantage to you as a student if you want to make a little bit of income on the side. You'll also find in terms of the international applicant pool, we don't have specific quotas on program applications in Canada. So I get this question sometimes of saying, oh, how many Kuwaitis do you admit every year? Or if you're a Canadian citizen in Kuwait, perhaps, how many Canadians do you admit every year? And there's no quota to our undergraduate programs. If you meet the admission requirements to a program, then it's worth applying, and we won't ever say no just because of your citizenship. But it's never going to happen in our undergrad program. I believe Shannon will touch on our professional programs afterwards. And then finally, these last 2 points. In Canada, you'll find some really strong orientation and support services for students. So when you come to Canada, we don't expect you to just figure it out on your own, to leave you to your classes and figure out what this life in Canada or life as a university student is like. You'll have support services through international students offices, through orientation, where you can learn about the academic process, the services available at the university, and so much more. So there is support available for you as a student. And then the 3-year postgraduate work permit, I'll leave that for Felicity to touch on afterwards. Passing it over to Shannon, I think.
Thanks, Kate. So just to kind of expand a little bit on what Kate was talking about, there are a lot of professional degrees in Canada. And so some of those are listed here on the slide. And depending on which type of program you're going into, the structure might be a little bit different, but also the availability to international students might be a little bit different. So for some programs that are professional programs like in engineering or accounting or kinesiology, those all have a professional designation that you're going to be part of when you graduate. So you're going to be a professional engineer, or you're going to be a chartered accountant, for example. But those are all direct entry. And what that means is you can start in their undergraduate programs. So you can enter those directly from high school. There's typically not any additional requirements that are needed to get into one of those programs. And then when you graduate after that, typically 4-year period, some of them could be a 5-year program, but generally after 4 years, you are going to go and register or write the exam to be part of that designation. So there's no additional schooling that's required to be able to go out and work in that industry. There are then some professional programs that do require additional schooling. So for example, if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer or a pharmacist or a dentist or a vet, there's a number of different programs like this. These would all be called second degree or second entry programs. And what that means is you first have to do a bachelor's degree to get into that program. So you cannot apply to medicine in Canada or law in Canada directly from high school. You're going to have to do that 4-year bachelor's degree first. And then at the end of that, then you would then apply. Now, some of these programs might be limited for international students. So, for example, medicine in Canada generally has a very restricted seats. So there's only a handful of schools of medicine in Canada. So not every university offers it. There's usually only, anywhere from about 1 to 5 universities in each province, depending on the size of the province, that have a school of medicine. And some of those do allow international students, but many don't. And that's simply because their mandate from their funding from the government is to train Canadian doctors, for example. And so it just restricts some of those available seats. Now, some areas are not as restrictive. So a program like law generally will admit more international students than a medicine program, for example. So it is best, if you're looking to go this route, to research some of those options kind of before you start, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. The other thing to note is that there is no such thing as pre-med or pre-law in Canada. And that's something that we often get asked. So we wanted to cover this in this presentation so that you're not coming around and going to each university and saying, so how do I get into pre-med? Because we're going to say to you, well, there is no pre-med. So we want to make sure that you have this information so that you're prepared for any conversations that you're having with universities in Canada. So a program like medicine, for example, you can really do many different undergraduate programs. So some popular ones might be something like biomedical science or life science or health science, which are really going to give you that foundation. If you're looking at a route like law, for example, you could do programs in things like human rights or legal studies or political science. You could do a business degree and go into law. I've seen students who have done an environmental science degree and then gone into law because they want to become an environmental lawyer. So they want to be able to have that science background and the law background. So they're really quite flexible in terms of what you need to get into those programs from a program standpoint. Thanks, Carl. So why Canada? We've been talking to you a lot today about Canada in general, but why Canada? We think that Canada is the best place to come for an education, but we also think, and we are biased, like Kelvin said before, we generally just think Canada is a great place to live. But in terms of the education standpoint, so our degrees are high quality and they're internationally recognized. Canada spends more money per capita than any other developed nation on education, and our degrees are really recognized around the world. We have students that will stay in Canada. We have many students, both Canadian and international, that choose to go and work and live somewhere else. And there's no question about the authenticity of their degree. Because we are a public education system and there really aren't private institutions, what it means is that there's a consistent high quality across the country. So when we say, like you hear us talking today, like about our colleagues at other institutions, it's because we genuinely know that that high quality is there, and we're happy as long as students are choosing Canada to come and study with us. Kate did talk a little bit about the flexibility of studies. So this is something else that's really a beneficial part of the Canadian education system, is that ability to kind of build your own degree to an extent. So if you are interested in multiple things, you can combine a political science program with a business program. But maybe you're interested in science and you know that that's what you want to do, but you also have a passion for music. So maybe you want to do a minor in music. So there are ways to be able to combine a lot of your interests and actually be able to study that and get credit for that. One thing you often might hear about Canada is that our education for an international student is affordable compared to some of our competitor countries. One, the Canadian dollar is generally very advantageous in many currencies. It's definitely advantageous for Kuwaitis in terms of that currency conversion. So that's already an advantage. But because we are publicly funded institutions, what that means is that our tuition is not as high as some other countries. So tuition does vary institution to institution and province by province, but generally you can know that you're probably spending less on an equally high quality degree, which is great. As well, many communities in Canada are quite affordable to live in. So that's also something that you're going to want to consider. Not just what is the tuition at the institution, but also how much is it going to cost me to live in that city. Co-op and experiential learning is a key part of our education. Co-op was actually created in Canada, and so we really are the experts at this, and it's done in most programs at most institutions, where you can combine your study and the theory that you're going to learn alongside a practical hands-on experience in that industry. So when you're researching where you want to go to school, see if these are options that are going to be available to you, because oftentimes students are hired by these employers, or they can go out into the workforce afterwards and say, well, hey, I already worked at, Tesla or IBM or, all these different companies. So that's always something to consider. And then employment as part of your studies is also key. So Felicity will talk a little bit about work permit options in Canada, but when you study in Canada, you can work while you study, and there are also a lot of opportunities to work after graduation. So that's often one of the reasons that we hear students choosing Canada is because of that flexible work opportunities. So I'll pass it over to Scott.
Great, thanks, Shanna. So today we want to share with you some of our top tips for where to choose, how to choose where to study in Canada. We really want students to choose the right fit for them, a school where they'll be happy and where you'll be able to succeed. Now that may look differently for different students. The secret about Canadian universities and colleges is that they're all great. They all offer the highest quality of academics and student supports. So it's less about the ranking of the university and more about finding the right fit for you. So I really encourage you to, for you and your families and your supporters, to think about different factors that will be most important to you when you're choosing a university. So these may include the size of the university, the location of the university in Canada. Is it in a big city or a small community? What extracurricular activities does it offer that makes you really excited to be there? What are the student residences like, the dormitories? What meal options may be available for you? And also, of course, finances. So what's the cost of tuition, the living expenses, what scholarships may be available and awards, and so on. And of course, what academic programs does it offer? Because of course you'll be a student and you'll be studying. We want you to be really excited about your options. If Carol if you can go to the next slide. Thanks. So now that you may have a sense of what universities and colleges are like in Canada, let's talk a little bit about admissions. In general, the admissions, the main thing that Canadian universities and colleges look for in admissions are going to be your grades from high school. So they'll be looking at your high school transcripts. We'll also most likely be asking for your IELTS or your TOEFL score. That will really depend on your academic background. For most universities and programs, additional documents like SATs, essays, reference letters are not going to be required. Additional supporting documents like a portfolio, an audition, or maybe an interview are required, but really only for a select few programs. So for example, if you're considering to be a theater major or music or in a fine arts program, you may need to provide additional documents in that way. There are, of course, always exceptions, and there's also going to be occasionally required prerequisite courses and grades, and these are going to vary from institution as well as from program to program. So the most important thing to do is going to be research, investigate the universities you're interested in attending, the programs that they're offering, and find out what it is that you'll have to be submitting with your application. All the admission requirements should be on the university's website, and hopefully will be easy enough for you to navigate your way. But of course, there's going to be staff members like ourselves who are there to support you and to answer any questions that you may have when you're attempting to complete your application. And now I'll pass it on to my colleague, Calvin.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. Okay, so I'm here to tell you a little bit more about the application process and how can I summarize the application process for almost 96 Canadian universities quite carefully. To be honest, throughout this, I'm going to kind of raise some questions that you should be asking us as individual institutions if you do find you're interested in particular Canadian universities. So in terms of the application process, right now, the majority of our applications, and I think I can safely say all of our applications, are open. So if you're a student interested to come and study in Canada for the fall of 2021, our applications are opened. And these applications tend to stay open from October through till about March-ish, depending on the particular university. Some universities have deadlines that may be as early as January, and some universities have deadlines that may be as late as April. So this is the first question you want to be asking your particular institution that you may be interested in is, when is the application open and when is it due? Another thing you want to know too is what you're applying for. So to some Canadian institutions, let's take a Bachelor of Engineering as an example. You may apply to just a general Bachelor of Engineering and pick your specific area of study or stream after you complete your first year or during your first year. Other universities, you may have to pick your specific stream of engineering on your application. So that's another very important thing to understand, is whether or not you're applying to a specific major or to kind of a broader program or degree. So that's another question you want to ask. What am I applying to? Am I applying to a specific program? Do I have to have something in mind when I click submit on my application, or am I applying to a more broader program or degree? And in terms of how to apply, this kind of varies across Canada. For the most part, most Canadian institutions will have a direct application. So somewhere on the university's website, you'll be able to find a how to apply page, which walks you through the application process through a direct application. Now, in the province of Ontario, there is a common app or a centralized application. So for example, Shannon, Carl, and my institution are located in the province of Ontario. So if you wanted to apply to all three of us after our stellar presentations today, you can do so on the common application. It centralizes all applications for universities located in the province of Ontario and allows for you as a student to have an easier time submitting applications to multiple universities within our province. However, for example, with Carleton, we have both options, the OUAC or the direct application. It does not matter what route you take, whether you go through the common app or through the institution directly. The universities don't favor one over the other, so the process is entirely up to you. If you were interested in, say, Concordia with Kate or Scott and Dalhousie, you would be applying directly on their website. So, in terms of document submission, this is something that's very important to understand. And another thing I would like to highlight is just how important it is to maintain open communication with the person that controls your documents within your particular school. So usually this is some sort of guidance counselor or principal or head of school. When you submit an application to one of the Canadian universities, we are going to need your documents, and you need to make sure you're able to get those documents from whoever oversees them. So please make sure that you maintain that open communication so that you can get your documents in a timely manner and submit them to us. Admissions in Canada for most Canadian universities is done on a rolling basis. So the sooner you submit an application and get us the specific documents we require, the sooner we can get you a decision. So that's another very important reason to maintain that open communication with your counselor or principal. When we request a document, some Canadian universities will allow you to upload it online by yourself. For example, some universities may have an application portal where you can take a PDF or scanned copy of your transcripts and upload them on your own. Some institutions may require that you send them, or sorry, your counselor send them directly to us. Generally, this is needed towards the end of an application to ensure that it is official and we're receiving official documents from the owners of them or your university counselors. One thing that the university will do is they will specify what route you must take. But again, it is important to ask these questions of, how can I send in my documents? How do you like to receive my documents? And what do I need to send in? In terms of sending out offers, you'll see on your screen here, it says February to May-ish. Again, that does vary by institution. Decisions, again, for most of us are sent out on a rolling basis. So some may be as early as February, some may be as late as May. This is another question you can kind of ask us individually, is what that process looks like. And in terms of additional applications, this is very important because your admissions application is, of course, what will grant you access into the university, but there's sometimes additional things that you really need to think about as an applicant. For example, scholarships and housing. Most Canadian institutions do have some form of scholarship available for students based on a wide variety of criteria, such as your academics, maybe your extracurriculars, involvements outside the classroom. So it's very important to understand what scholarships may be available to you and how to apply for them, as well as the deadlines. And for housing, a lot of Canadian institutions do offer guaranteed residence in first year. And if that is the case, you want to make sure you're applying for that before the deadline. And if it's not the case, you want to be sure that you're asking the questions that will allow you to explore your options off campus or maybe other options within the city. I can't stress this enough. It is very important to watch for these deadlines and to ask questions about them so you are aware, because if you miss a deadline, unfortunately, there's not always something we can do for you. And in terms of your study permit, this is an application that is generally done outside of the university. While most Canadian universities will have immigration advisors on staff, the actual application does not come through us directly. Felicity and Jad will touch on that later on in this presentation, but I can't stress this enough that that is something you need to apply for outside of the university, and that is something you also need to track as well on your own. The universities do not necessarily assist you with this entire process. We do have staff members that may help, but this is something that you need to take on your own and something that you need to be well aware of, especially if you're interested in the province of Quebec, as there are additional requirements as well. So I know this has been a lot of information from the Canadians and very broad and general information, but I hope it's been very beneficial. In true Canadian fashion, we want to send out a thank you, or merci, for joining us for this part of the presentation. For the next few minutes, the five of us are just going to quickly go through our individual institutions. We're just going to highlight a brief overview of what we offer and where we're located. And we'll talk each for about 1 or 2 minutes. And after that, we will hand it off to Felicity and Jad to talk about study permit and IRCC regulations and guidelines. So I'll get started right away. Carl, if you could jump to the next slide for me, you're going to see Carleton University's beautiful campus. So I represent Carleton. I'm an international admissions and recruitment officer, and I'm a graduate of Carleton as well. We are located in Ottawa. It is Canada's capital city. The campus you see there is a self-contained campus bordered by the Rideau River and the Rideau Canal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We're surrounded by lots of green space, which is great, but we are only about 5 to 10 minutes from the downtown core. So it kind of offers students the best of both worlds. That small town community setting on campus, but also minutes away from the urban downtown core. We offer 22 different degree programs spread out across 5 faculties. Kuwaiti students are often very interested in our engineering program, where we offer 13 different majors, including aerospace and mechanical. But we also have a number of other great degree programs for students, including computer science, health sciences, our business degrees in commerce and international business, public affairs, journalism. There's a lot for students to pick from. And there's an advantage to studying in the capital city because so much exists within the city of Ottawa because it is a G7 capital. A lot of things you may not be able to find elsewhere and opportunities that are just down the road from you. Carleton is also able to offer our incoming high school students or students incoming from high school, automatic entrance scholarships and guaranteed residence as well. We're a comprehensive university with a number of options at the master's and PhD level as well. And that's just a brief, very brief overview of the highlights of everything at Carleton University. If you do have any specific questions, please feel free to post them in the chat and we can get to them at the end of the presentation or reach out on our jump chats as well. I believe I will now pass it off to Kate to highlight Concordia.
Thanks, Calvin. Awesome. So like Calvin said, my name is Kate and I work for Concordia University. Concordia is located in Montreal, Quebec. Montreal is officially a French-speaking city, but Concordia is fully in English. So all of your classes, all of the services are offered in English. You absolutely do not need to know French in order to attend. And the city itself, while officially French, is quite bilingual in your everyday life. You can go into a restaurant and get a menu in either French or English. If you go into a shop, they often greet you by saying bonjour, hi, so you can respond in whichever language you're most comfortable in. That being said, it is a great opportunity to pick up a third language probably for you guys and use it in a very practical setting outside of your classroom. Concordia at the undergraduate level has about 37,000 students, 20% of whom are international students coming from over 100 different countries. So it's a very diverse campus where you will meet people from around the world. You won't just meet Canadians or other Kuwaitis, you're going to meet somebody from almost every corner of the map. With that in mind, we also have some large master's and PhD programs, and overall our student population is about 50,000 students, so quite large here in Canada. What Concordia really specializes in is this idea of learn by experiencing. So like I was saying earlier in the presentation, getting outside of your classroom and getting practical experience alongside your studies. So at Concordia, this might look like something like the co-op program, which was mentioned earlier, where you'll alternate semesters between working and studying. So you're building professional experience that's directly related to your program of study. So if you're interested in, this photo here is our Society for Automotive Engineers. If you're interested in mechanical or anything else related to automotive engineering, you might be working for somebody like Tesla or Bombardier. If you're interested in business, maybe you'll be working for one of the big 4 consulting firms, or maybe you'll be working for a small startup organization in Montreal, or maybe you'll take that experience internationally and get some work experience outside of Canada as well. That's overall what Concordia is quite well known for. In terms of the programs we offer, we definitely have a great Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science, which is actually the first School of Engineering and Computer Science in North America that was named after a female. So we're really strong in promoting opportunities for women in engineering and computer science. We do have our John Molson School of Business, our Faculty of Arts and Science, and then our Faculty of Fine Arts as well. I'm happy to answer any more specific questions that you have either in the chat or in the jump chat afterwards, and I'll pass it over to Scott Dalhousie.
All right, thanks so much, Kate. So again, my name is Scott McDonald, and I'm Assistant Registrar International Admissions at Dalhousie University. Dalhousie University is located in the province of Nova Scotia, which is in the east coast of Canada. We're known as Canada's ocean playground because we really are nearly surrounded by the ocean. In this photo, you can see Dalhousie's Halifax campus, and just beyond there's some water there. That's the Halifax Harbor, which leads out to the Atlantic Ocean. All along the harbor, there's an absolutely beautiful boardwalk, restaurants, activities, and it's really only a 15-minute walk from campus. The capital city of Halifax has one of the fastest growing and most diverse economies in Canada, with a number of strong sectors. Those include IT, gaming and digital media, financial services, and ocean technology. So those are all real leading sectors here in Halifax. Dalhousie itself is a comprehensive mid-sized university, and we offer over 200 programs in 13 different faculties. So those include computer science, sciences, management, commerce, and engineering. We have over 19,000 students, and 62% are from outside of the province, as well as 24% are international. And so we have 4,000 international students representing 115 different countries around the world. And what that provides is a really diverse campus community that has a sense of global citizenship and thinking about the world in different ways. So for admission, we're looking in general for averages that are approximately 70% or higher in 5 academic subjects in your final year of study. Now that depends on the program itself, okay? I'm looking forward to connecting with you during the question and answer period, as well as the jump chat. So please feel free to connect with me, and I'd be more than happy to tell you about Dalhousie University.
All right, hello again. I'm Shannon Bracken. I'm the Director of Admissions and Recruitment at Ontario Tech University. And there's a lot of great things going on at Ontario Tech. I'm joined here with many of Canada's oldest institutions, but we on the flip side are one of Canada's newer institutions. We're a very modern university. We opened in 2002 with the goal of being Canada's leading technology university. And we focus on programs where there's a real demand in industry. And so you'll see some of the categories of our programs. It's not a comprehensive list of the programs. We have about 50 programs that exist in these areas. So everything from business to IT, we have a cybersecurity program, we have a game development program, a lot of great pure science degrees, as well as computer science, which is by far our most popular program. In the health sciences, there's a number of options in things like life sciences or kinesiology or nursing. Engineering is probably what we're most known for. We have Canada's only automotive engineering bachelor's degree program. We also have Canada's only nuclear engineering program at both the bachelor's, master's, and PhD level, as well as some great programs in education, social sciences, and humanities. So we do offer research-based programs at the bachelor's, master's, and PhD level. Ontario Tech University is home to about 10,000 students, and we are located in the Greater Toronto area, but we're in a smaller city called Oshawa, which is about 45 minutes from downtown Toronto. So the best way I could describe us is we're like a suburb of Toronto. So a lot of people will live in the city of Oshawa, but then they might work in Toronto. So that just gives you an example of kind of how close we are to the large urban center in Canada. Oshawa is one of the top cities in the country for both employment and economic growth. So it's definitely a lot happening in our area. And just a few things that we're really proud about is there is experiential learning in every undergraduate program. So you can have that experience if you're looking for it, whether you want to do a co-op or an internship or some sort of practical based experience. And because of that, we do have a really high employment rate. So about 85% of our grads are employed within 6 months of graduation. And that's, I think, a lot of times just due to the nature of our programs and our connection to industry. And what does the tech in Ontario Tech mean? Obviously, we have programs that aren't, what you would think of as tech, but what it means is that we incorporate technology into every program. So students are provided with all of the software specific to their program of studies on their own laptop. So we provide that every year. It's always updated. It's always industry standard. So we want to make sure that students are equipped to be able to go out and work in their industry when they graduate. So thanks, and I'm here to answer any questions you have.
You're on mute, Carl.
Thanks, friends. So I'll try and keep this as short, as sweet as possible. I will be the last of our 5 Canadian universities speaking today, and then we'll pass it over to Felicity, who will be providing some helpful information about the visa section and additional messages from the Canadian Embassy. So we are York University. We are located in Canada's largest city, the city of Toronto. And we are the 3rd largest university in Canada. Our 2 main campuses in Toronto are home to over 55,000 students, of which over 8,000 are international students from over 170 countries. We are a research-intensive university offering over 200 programs at the undergraduate, master's, and PhD levels, taught by leading professors in their fields. We have an extensive, well-connected alumni network worldwide, and we're one of the best universities in the world furthering the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in the Times Higher Education Global Impact Rankings. Our main campus is like a city within the city of Toronto and has everything you would need to live, work, and study. We have over 50 different restaurants, a small shopping mall, a doctor's office, a dentist's office, a pharmacy, a huge athletics facility, 2 sports stadiums, and 6 ice hockey rinks. Yes, we like our ice hockey at York University. And that's all just on the campus. And of course, you're guaranteed a spot in on-campus residence if you would like to live on campus in your first year. So it's a safe, welcoming place for incoming international students. And if you can see the image behind me here, this is one of my favorite things on campus. It is York University subway station that can take you to the center of the city in about 30 minutes with no transfers. So if you're interested in going downtown for a Raptors game or to see a concert or just to try a restaurant that's off campus, you can do that quickly and easily. But at the end of the day, you're coming back home to your residence room on campus. And we also have a second campus in Toronto that I'm happy to answer questions about in the chat afterwards. It's our bilingual campus. So it's more for students that are interested in a subject like psychology or biology or international relations, and also French. So if that sounds like you can chat with me afterwards. I did mention before that across our 2 campuses, we have over 200 programs and those 200 programs are in 11 different faculties. So we offer programs in arts, media, performance and design, film production and screenwriting, engineering and computer science. The engineering and computer science programs are at this building that you see here in the image. That's our beautiful new Bergeron Center for Engineering Excellence, which is one of the most high-tech engineering buildings at any university in all of North America. We also offer life and physical sciences, health sciences, environmental science. We have very well-known business and commerce programs, humanities, social sciences, languages, and a whole bunch more. So with that being said, I'm sure we have something that's the right fit for you. And that was a whole lot of information about Canada and our wonderful universities in about 40-ish minutes. So please feel free to come and chat with all of us in the jump chats or ask your questions in the Q&A. And again, now I'm very happy to pass it over to Miss Felicia Smith with the Canadian Embassy in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, does it go to me? Okay.
Sorry, Felicity, I said Felicia. I apologize again.
That's okay.
It's my bad.
No worries. Carl, do you know how I become you in the screen and how I become the main screen, or am I?
Do you have the screen share button at the bottom of your screen there? You should be able to, I think you should be able to just click that and share whatever you need to, and then it should make you the center of attention. All
right, thank you. I rely on my colleagues from the Canadian universities to teach me how to do this. I'm sorry, I'm just a bureaucrat. So hi everyone, I'm Felicity Smith and I'm coming to you from Abu Dhabi, and we process all study permits for Kuwait at our office. So that's why I'm presenting to you guys today. So let's see. Okay, the application process. So there's 3 elements. So the first part is preparing and submitting, which involves all your documents, all the forms, the payment of the fees. Then you have to give biometrics, possibly do a medical exam, although not for Kuwaiti residents. And then you get your final decision and head off to Canada. So there's 2 parts. Everybody sort of wants to know, how does an immigration officer assess my application? Well, it's really simple. Firstly, we look at, do you have a school that you're going to? Is there a letter of acceptance? Do you have enough money to go there? And are you willing to return home at the end of your stay? The next part, of course, is we also look at to make sure you don't pose a threat to the health, safety, and security of Canadians. So that could be a security check. It could be a medical exam. There's a number of things that happen at that stage too, but not really that applicable to most of our students. So which documents do you submit? Do you have application forms, a letter of acceptance from a DLI, which all the schools today are a designated learning institution. For schools like Concordia, you also need a Certificat d'Acceptation de Québec, which is just a special Quebec document, but schools from that province could help you out with what all that means. You also need to show us the money. So whether it's Bank of Mom and Dad, or if you're self-funding, show us how you're going to pay for your schooling. Obviously a valid passport, because how else would you get to Canada? And if you're under 18, you need to have a parent, or parent has to sign a guardian authorization form, just so that an adult will be responsible for you in Canada. And then there's a small application fee. Okay, other documents, academic records, exam results, diplomas, degrees. These are largely applicable if you're returning to school after perhaps a pause in your education. But most importantly, I want to just highlight, and I have in red, your study plan. So often we see applications that we're not really following why the student wants to go to Canada for the program they're taking. And that's where the study plan comes in. So I want to counsel everybody here listening today is really put some effort into this study plan. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. Save your essay writing for university. But what I really want to see as an officer is connecting the dots. So where are you now? What are you looking to do in your life? So, okay, I want to be a marine biologist. And then how does that program in Canada get you to that point? So we don't have interviews generally anymore, and especially now in COVID, even less so. So see your study plan as your opportunity to sort of tell us all about yourself and pretend it is an interview. And if there are any issues that you think might come up, anticipate them in your study plan. So, hey, I've taken off 5 years in between studies. Well, that's because I was working and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now I have a clearer idea and I'm going back to school to achieve that goal. That kind of thing can all be covered in your study plan. And it's a really useful document. All right, little known fact, IRCC has a YouTube channel where you can listen to and watch videos on how to apply and also all about life in Canada. So I encourage everybody to go check it out. I just frantically added these slides while everyone was talking because all the reps touched upon the working component here. So with a study permit, you're able to work 20 hours a week while in school outside of campus or full-time if you're on campus. You're also able to work full-time during vacation. So our summer vacation and our winter breaks. That is, the schools mentioned co-ops, of course. But the big draw that I think a lot of people are interested in hearing about is our post-graduation work permit program. So Canada has a philosophy of sorts that we really want to retain the talent that we help educate if they want to stay with us. So we try and make it as straightforward as possible. And we do so by offering an open work permit to our students. They're variable in length, so it depends on the length of the program. But for example, the programs that we're talking about today, a 4-year university program, you'd have a 3-year open work permit. How this differs from other countries is that it's open, which means it's not tied to an employer. So we encourage students to explore a number of different jobs and perhaps different employers, and they don't have to feel stressed. Well, if I'm not employed, I have to leave. No, it's an open work permit for you to sort of explore your career path. And then this can lead to permanent residence. So we have what is called a pathway to permanent residence, whereby if you have 1 year of work experience in a skilled job, so something in an office, or if you're an engineer or something like that, then you may be eligible to apply for something called the Canadian Experience Class through our permanent residence program. So how to apply? So you have to apply online right now due to COVID, but this is a good thing actually because our online application system is fabulous, especially for our tech-savvy students. The one-stop shop, you can do it in your pajamas. All you have to do is upload the documents, so you don't have to worry about submitting any really important originals. All goes online, you pay online, and once your application is received and it's reviewed very quickly, you'll get a biometrics request letter. Then you'll go to the Visa Application Center, and this is the address for the one in Kuwait. And you'll give your fingerprints and a photograph, and that's it. And that's all you need. At the moment, VACs aren't offering all services. So just to note, you can go there for biometrics collection as well as decisions. You can get your decisions, well, they'll courier it to you. And there's also some passport submission services being offered. But check the website that I have listed here if you want to make sure of which services the Kuwait VAC is currently offering. When should I apply? As soon as possible, as soon as you get that letter of acceptance. And for certain schools, as required, a certificat d'acceptation de Quebec. Note that due to the impacts of COVID, we can't process applications normally. So make sure even sooner you apply to ensure to avoid disappointment. And here's just some tips. Make sure you do the application yourself. Make sure if you are using a representative, you know what they're submitting on your behalf, because you will be responsible for whatever's in that application. If it's not an obvious relationship between yourself and who's paying, please go and discuss it. So that could even be in your study plan. So this is my generous uncle. He is going to be paying for this, and he has sort of been a supporter of my education for the last 20 years, blah, 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 blah. Just make sure you explain that to us, because oftentimes we see applications and we wonder, who is this wealthy individual that is helping this student? How do I make friends with one of these people? And why are they doing it for this person? So we really want to make sure that that relationship is established and genuine. So it's a good idea, if it's not your mom and dad, that you explain it for us. And please declare all previous visa refusals. Misconception is that if you have been previously refused for a visa, you will never get one. That's absolutely not true. But it is definitely true that we can see if you have been refused in the past. So please be honest about your immigration history with us and with other countries. Okay, where do I find other resources? Here are a few links. Quickly take a photo because I'm moving on to the next slide. And here is our social media accounts in Kuwait. We often post about events like this, as well as some tips on study permits and how to make a good application. Additionally, this is our email address. Yes, it looks like a URL, but it's a web form. So essentially, you will be prompted to give certain information, and then based on where your residence is, it will be forwarded to the appropriate visa office. One final note, as everyone knows, COVID is causing everything to change, and it changes on a daily basis. And there's a number of recent changes that have just happened in the immigration program. So it's best to check this link here and see what those changes are, what is the current status, and more information like that I really can't go into because it changes daily. So it's best to check this website. Thank you. And I'm not sure who's next. Carl, I feel like you're in charge. Who's next?
I'm just giving a thumbs up because I thought that was a fantastic presentation. And I mean, we're always interested as Canadian universities, and that is just, it reaffirmed a bunch of stuff, but you learned something a little bit new here and there too. It was great. But I think we're over to Jad, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Felicity. It was a great presentation from everyone. So thank you, Carl, Kelvin, Scott, Kate, Shannon, and Felicity. I think they were very informative presentations. I see also we've also been answering, everyone's been answering questions as well on the Q&A. So we've covered a lot of these questions. I think I'm gonna cover a few if we have a bit of time left, the ones that are still open. I see one in the chat for Felicity, but I think you already went over that. There was one question, one student asking, how long can a student stay in Canada after completing his education?
Yes. So it depends on the length of your studies. You'll be issued well, you have to apply for a postgraduate work permit. And depending on the length of that, then you can stay till the end of that validity. So basically, once you graduate, apply for the postgraduate work permit and then check the expiry date on that, and that's how long you can stay in Canada.
I think, Jad, there is someone who's raising his hand. He wants to ask a question, I think.
I'm trying to look here at the screen.
Wait, let me allow him to talk.
All right.
Hello مصعب، بس افتح الصوت مصعب. مصعب، اعتقد عندك مشكلة في الصوت مصعب. لازم تفتح المايك عندك. المايك عندك مسكر. Okay, Jed, you can continue. I think there's a problem. Yes.
I don't think we can hear him. I want to give, I don't know how much time we have left, so I want to see if anyone else has a question. Anyone else has still have the question on the chat? I'm looking through if there's anything we haven't answered.
I think we are running out of time, so because we will start the UK section.
All right. Well, since this is the end, we want to thank you, Samah, again for this opportunity. I want to thank all the Canadian universities that participated today, and I want to thank Felicity again for being here from Abu Dhabi. It was a great session. and hopefully we'll see each other all soon after COVID again in Kuwait. Take care, everyone. Thank you for a great session again, and goodbye.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Felicity, for this lovely day, and thank you for your time to be with us today. And hopefully we can continue do this kind of webinars for the student to know what's going on and what's their next steps. So thank you for everything. I can hand over the mic now for Mr. Mahmoud from study group. Mahmoud.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hello, Mahmoud. Hi.
Just before I begin, for the students, if you do not speak Arabic, can you please drop anything in the chat box? So just assuming that all the students are speaking Arabic, so I'm going to speak in Arabic. If you do not speak Arabic as a student, can you please drop me a message in the chat box?
You can start by English, but if there is a problem, so we can solve it, no problem.
I mean, again, if all the students are, like, I went through the names and all the names are like Arabic names. So what do you think?
They said Arabic and English good. They don't mind. English, please. Some people, they said.
Okay, perfect, no problem then. Hi everyone. Again, for those who just joined, my name is Mahmoud Abou Ftouh. I'm the partner sales manager for study group. I look after this region, and of course, part of this region is Kuwait. We've been working with Samah and Creative Vision for quite some time now. We really appreciate their help in the market. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through our UK centers and our one Ireland center as well in UCD. So very quickly, if you don't know anything about study group, we are one of the lead pathway providers in the world. Pathway provider is basically an education provider who helps students who are coming out of a certain education system and joining a different education system, which is perfect for Kuwait, because if you're a Kuwaiti student coming from Thanawiyya Amma or the American system and you want to study in the UK, you will have to go through a pathway which is commonly known as a foundation program. I'm not very tech savvy, so I cannot really split my screen between presentation and whatnot. So I'm just going to go through this here, and I hope that you can see that. We have around 17 universities in the UK. Basically, our universities are most of them are within the top 50 universities in every year's ranking. And we are located all over the UK. So we have universities in London, we have universities in Scotland, we have universities in Wales, and so on, just to make sure that we provide the students with all the destinations that they would like to go to. And here are some of the universities. I'm sure that you guys know about them. So University of Aberdeen, University of Cardiff or Cardiff University, Coventry in London, Durham University, Huddersfield, which is not on the list by the KCO anymore, Kingston University in London, Lancaster, Leeds Beckett, Lincoln, Liverpool John Moores, Royal Holloway in London, Strathclyde in Glasgow, Sheffield, Surrey, and University of Sussex. And in our European portfolio, I think the one that will be interesting for you is UCD or University College in Dublin. Quickly here to see the map where our centers are located. So again, around like the London area, we have around like 5 universities. In Wales, we have 1. Around the Manchester and Leeds area, we have a bunch of them here. We have in Scotland, as I mentioned, we have Aberdeen and we have Strathclyde. And again, we're expanding our portfolio every year. So how is a pathway provider helpful for you as a student? Basically, students coming from outside of the UK, which is what we're talking about here today, coming from outside the UK system, yes, they might have done K to 12 in English, but you still need to improve your English abilities to be able to go through the academic system in the UK. So we provide English language support. And for the international students, we provide smaller groups on smaller class sizes. And of course, we have a network of tutors that will help you go through the first year or the pathway or the foundation. Just to explain to you very quickly, if you're not familiar with the concept of foundation. So an international foundation year would basically be 1 year that you study before you start your undergraduate degree in the UK, which is 3 years, which means that the duration of your education in the UK this way is going to be 4 years. The foundation or the international foundation year comes with like a variety of different requirements. So here, like the lowest we have is 4.0, but depending on the university ranking, depending on the subject, you will know the requirements. And again, let me stress this, if you have any questions about our university in general, if you have any questions about the requirements and so on, you can always get in touch with Samah and the team in Creative Vision, and they will be helping you with that. So that was International Foundation Year. And then we have International Year 1. The difference between International Year 1 and the International Foundation Year is basically if you would actually qualify for direct entry, you can do International Year 1 rather than Year 1 in the university. The question would be why? It would be again for the same exact reasons that I mentioned here, which is again, a direct entry program would get you in the same classroom with your students from the UK. But what we do here is we give you more English support to support your academic career in that case. Again, it is smaller classrooms and more support from tutors that would help you basically progress from the International Year 1 to your Year 2 right away, which would keep your entire university path in like 3 years, like other students, and then you graduate after that. The International Year 1 is available not in all of our universities, but in a group of them, as in Aberdeen, Coventry, Sussex, Kingston, Royal Holloway, and Lincoln, and it's available in a limited number of majors as well. We provide as well a pathway for your master's degree if you're a master's student. I doubt that anybody here is a master's student, but just a quick one. So basically, we provide you a 1-year pre-master's degree, which basically would help you progress to your 1-year master's in this case. In this 1 year, we're gonna basically go through stuff like research methods, work in your English, if there are like any pre-master's subject that you need to take, like, mathematics, pre-engineering, stuff like that. And then you will do 1-year master's degree and then you graduate. So your journey here is going to be 2 years. And this is again limited to a certain number of universities: Sussex, Kingston, Aberdeen, Durham, and Coventry. These are like most of the universities that we see students going to. These are our universities here. I'm going to go through some of them. The first one is University of Aberdeen, located in Scotland. And University of Aberdeen as a city is considered the capital of oil and gas in the UK. It's one of the oldest universities in the UK. I think it's like the 5th oldest university. And basically, Scotland is ranked as one of the safest university cities in the UK. The university itself is ranked the 27th in the UK among the top 200 in the world. And basically, it was ranked like Scottish University of the Year in 2019. Cardiff University is the latest addition to our portfolio of universities. Cardiff University is located in Wales. The university is one of the highest ranked, and if I'm not mistaken, Samah, it's on the merit list as well in Kuwait by the KCO. The university itself is ranked the 31st in the UK among the top 150 universities in the world, and it's one of the highest, research universities in the UK. Cardiff offers degrees in medicine and dentistry, and both are accredited by the KCO. And you can apply to September 2021 medicine and dentistry through Creative Vision. Coventry University London. This is a remote campus from Coventry University. It is located, I think, like maybe 15 minutes away from the London area itself. Students can basically start in Greenwich and then move after that to Canary Wharf, which is the main university campus in London. One of the top 15 universities in the UK by The Guardian in 2020. And again, it's one of the most important business capitals in the world, and that is London. Durham University is one of the top ranked universities in our portfolio. Basically, it's the 7th in the UK among the top 100 universities in the world, and it is a Russell Group university. Russell Group is a group of universities in the UK that are basically focused on research. So going to a Russell Group university means that you've been to one of the top research universities in the UK. Basically, Durham is, again, one of the top 100, 90% of the subject ranked among like the UK top 10, which is great because you know that most of the subjects there, if you want to study engineering, business, humanities, life science, applied or pure science, is going to always be among the top ranked universities in the UK. Huddersfield, we're going to skip Huddersfield because it's not approved by the KCO anymore. Kingston University London. It's great if you are looking for a university in London that's high ranked, and we have a great pharmacy program in Kingston that we see a lot of Kuwaiti students going there. The university is among 2 universities in our portfolio who actually have a November intake. So if you have just received your grades and you are looking for a university to apply to and start your studies in November, Kingston University is one of a few universities, or one of actually 2 universities that has a November intake. Lancaster University is again one of our like high-ranked universities in the UK. It is on the KCO list, and again, it's one of the top 5 universities for graduate employment. I know that you guys are like most probably going to go back to Kuwait after you finish, but having a university that's ranked highly within the graduate employment, it means that the university focuses more on application, focuses more on co-ops, and some of my colleagues said. So Lancaster is one of the good universities that I would recommend. Leeds Beckett is not on the list for the KCO this year, so I'm going to skip this one. Leeds University, or University of Leeds, is one of the most in-demand universities in Kuwait. Leeds University basically is one of the top 15 universities that we have in our portfolio, one of the top 100 in the world. It is really one of the best, I think, like most of Kuwaiti students that we see coming to us will be going to Leeds. Some go to Sheffield, that we're going to talk about that. So Sheffield would always be a good option for you. It is among the top 100 universities, top 10 in terms of research. And Mr. Samah can help you with the application for that one. LGMU is not on the list, so I'm going to skip this one. Lincoln, or University of Lincoln, is a great university. It's based in, I think it's called Lincolnshire or something. The university is among the top 17s in the UK, or like top 20s in the UK, which means great academics, great student progression. 96, as we see here, like 96 of students, recent graduates from Lincoln, they basically work within like 6 months after they graduate. Means again, it's a university that focuses on application and making sure that the students come out of their academic journey ready to meet the work market or the labor market. Royal Holloway, based in London, one of few universities in the UK that actually has Royal in its name. The university is among the top 20 universities in the UK. The universities, they are like a great veterinary program, if I'm not mistaken. And it is one of like 3 universities that we've spoken about now that are in London, Royal Holloway, Kingston, and Coventry. Sheffield, or the University of Sheffield, among the top 100, among the top 20 in the UK, and it has like the #1 student union in the UK, which will give you an indication about the number of student activities there, about like, you know, the experience that you'll have interacting with students on that campus. The university is a Russell Group university as well, as we've mentioned, and it's one of the safest cities in the UK. University of Surrey, another very high ranked university in the UK, top 23. And I think NQ in the Guardian is like the top 10 this year. It is one of the universities that are close to the London area. I think Surrey is like within 20 to 30 minutes away from London. Engineering programs there are really quite highly ranked. I think it will be among the top 10. And it ranks normally like among the top 10 in student experience as well. University of Sussex, based in an area that lots of Kuwaiti students like, which is Brighton. University of Sussex is another high-ranked universities. Again, I think it's like most of the universities that we will talk about today that are approved by the KCO will be top ranked, either among like the top 200 in the world or like the top 25 in the UK. So excuse me if I keep repeating this part. University of Sussex, basically, as I mentioned, high ranked, one of the most beautiful campuses in the Brighton area. And it is high ranked for the business and the economics programs. Exactly. It's like among the top 10 when it goes to business and economics. The University of Strathclyde. University of Strathclyde is based in Scotland. One of our 2 universities that we have in Scotland, Aberdeen and Strathclyde. Strathclyde is famous among Kuwaiti students for their fantastic pharmaceutical and pharmacy program. It's among the top 50 UK universities, and 16 subjects are ranked among the top 10. Again, we see a lot of students coming from Kuwait going to the pharmaceutical or the pharma program, and they actually have a fantastic business program as well. They have like business schools or business school branches all over the world. We have a really good one here in Dubai. Among our European universities, you wouldn't be really interested about most of them. The one that's on the KCO list and very well known in Kuwait is UCD, or the University College of Dublin. Basically among the top 100 in the world in terms of like, graduate mobility, and 14 subjects within UCD are basically among the top 100 in the entire world. I'm not going to go through the application process because basically the way things work is if you're interested in one of our universities and you want to know more about how can you apply to Sheffield or Strathclyde or Aberdeen, Cardiff for medicine, you would need to go contact the good people of Creative Vision, Mr. Samah and Zunaira, and then they will walk you through the application process. They will help you as well with the visa process. We basically provide them with that help. So they take care of this entire process for you. And I'm ready for questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mahmoud. There
Are
is
you
two
welcome?
questions.
Sure.
First, from Shaima.
Yeah.
Can I go to the UK with IGCSEs only
Yes.
without A level?
Yes, some of the universities will accept IGs based on how many subjects that you've taken, based on like what grades have you do you have, and of course what major you want to do. So based on that, you can go with IGs, AS levels, or A levels, and then you'll be going directly to your to study directly in whatever university you want to go to.
Okay, and there is a question from Selma. If I want to start pathway, when does the program start? Do I study online now?
That's a great question. So since the whole like pandemic thing started, we were very proactive when it goes to that. So I think back in March, we made a decision that we will have, or as a study group and our like partner universities, we've decided to basically, we are going to take the students wherever they want to go in any way possible. So at the beginning, we had online courses only. And then once the Home Office in the UK provided or approved students to go and start studying in the UK, we started face-to-face as well. So students can go and study on campus. And if you're a student and you don't feel comfortable going to study now, or your family is not, okay with you leaving and traveling somewhere, then you can start online now and then go whenever you want before beginning of your next intake. So if you want to start, for example, in now and go start face-to-face, start online now and do face-to-face in January, you can do this. If you want to do face-to-face now, you can do this. So basically all options available. And we understand that this is a very fluid situation. Like you can, like there's no, it's not binary. You cannot travel or no, online or not. We provide, again, within our network of universities, you can, start online, start face-to-face, start online now, face-to-face later. All options are available.
Okay. There's a question from Khalid. After completing IELTS, I can apply anytime for UK?
Actually, to apply, you don't need an IELTS. So the way it works is you go to the good people of Creative Vision, apply for your degree. What we need for the application is basically your passport, your grades, and you apply. You'll be receiving something we call a conditional offer أو قبول مشروط. القبول المشروط معناه إن أنت مقبول في الجامعة، ولكن القبول النهائي مش هيتم غير لما تدينا الآيلتس بتاعك. So in this case, you can apply without an IELTS. We actually, for the UK, we accept IELTS UKVI, Pearson UKVI, or Language Cert UKVI. Okay, that's for the visa process. So if you wanna apply now, get your conditional offer, and then once you take your IELTS or once you prep for your IELTS and you feel that you can go and get it, then you can provide us with the IELTS, and then you can get your unconditional offer.
Okay. Okay. From Shaima, can I get into medical with 9 IGs with all A and B grades?
How about this? How about this? For specific, because like, okay, I don't want to be saying something here and then when we receive the application, something different. Mr. Samah, you have my, let me drop my contacts here. 1 second. And then we can have a conversation about your grades. We can have a conversation about that. And then I can provide you then with the correct information. Sorry. Let me do this here. Everyone. Here we go. So you have my mobile number, you have my email address, and you can basically just drop me a WhatsApp or يعني تقدر تكلمني في أي وقت، تقدر تبعت لي شيماء، تقدري تبعتي لي واتساب ونقدر نتكلم في الموضوع. But the most important thing is there's no dentistry or medicine in January. Dentistry and medicine will be in September 2021. Okay. Okay, next. I think we have I can't hear you, Samah.
I'm sorry.
Samah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You can hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Question from Abdullah, F. Abdullah. Question for my friends. Untitled offer nursing program?
Actually, that's in the UK, or is that like a general question? Because unfortunately, the only partner university where we have nursing is Huddersfield, and it's not on the KCO's list. So if you're a self-funded, if you're a Kuwaiti student looking for this program, we don't have this program in our portfolio. But hopefully, one of the great people from the far land of Canada can have a nursing program to provide to Abdullah.
Also, what is required to apply? I think we answered these questions. And
so
how
again,
many?
Sorry, let me do this in Arabic. بالنسبة للابليكيشن بتاعت حضرتك أو حضرتك، كل اللي احنا محتاجينه رقم واحد الباسبور بتاعك أو الباسبور بتاعك. محتاجين آخر شهادة، لو أنت مثلا في جريد 11 فمحتاجين جريد 11 وجريد 10. لو أنت في اي جي محتاجين الاي جي جريدز أو البريدكتيف جريدز حتى. لو أنت اي اس يبقى محتاجين كل اللي أنت عملته لحد دلوقتي. أمريكان مفيش مشكلة، اي بي مفيش مشكلة. تقدر تبعت للشباب في كرييتيف فيجن، تقدر تبعت طالما معاك الباسبور ومعاك الجريدز اللي انت اخدتها لحد دلوقتي، تقدر تبعتها لهم ونبدا الابلكيشن بده. بعد كده علشان نكمل الابلكيشن بتاعت حضرتك او حضرتك بنحتاج مثلا لو الايلتس او البيرسون او اللانجوج سيرت عشان نقدر نشوف الريكوايرمنتس بتاعت الجامعه. محتاجين كمان لو انت عندك في وقت في وسط الدراسه محتاجين تفسير للستادي جاب، لو عندك ستادي جاب مثلا. كل الاوراق دي سهله والمفروض انها موجوده عند كل الناس، بس زي ما قلت احنا بنسهل الموضوع جدا. في البدايه بيطلع لك كونديشنال اوفر، تعرف انت ان شاء الله الجامعه دي هتبقى مقبول فيها ولا لا بيز على المعلومات اللي عندنا. وبعد كده وانس ان احنا استوفينا الاوراق زي ما بنقول في مصر، وانس ان احنا استوفينا الاوراق بندي لك القبول الغير مشروط اللي تقدر بيه او تقدري بيه ان انت تقدمي في وزاره التعليم وتاخدوا المنحه ان شاء الله. Okay.
I think this question is for the Canadian universities. Carl, are you there?
I am here, Selma. What's up?
Yeah, there's a question, the physiotherapist in Canada, possible?
So physiotherapy in Canada is a postgraduate degree. So it's not direct entry, similar to in the Canada presentation when we were mentioning about professional programs. That's where physiotherapy would lie. So some of our universities have something that's like kinesiology or a health science program that would be good preparation for physiotherapy, but then physiotherapy would be an additional 2-year program afterwards that they would apply into after having a health science or biology or a science-related undergraduate degree, typically. So there are some undergraduate programs in Canada that offer like an athletic therapy certificate as part of the program, but athletic therapy and full-on physiotherapy are two quite different things. And then the number of programs and the number of spaces available in those programs across Canada is quite limited as well. So they'd have to investigate with each specific university to see what the requirements are and what the international student situation is. And for the Canadian universities, we're experts on undergraduate programs. When it comes to like the master's or professional certificates, we have some information, but we won't have the specific information about what exactly is needed.
Thank you. Let's see. The question is, okay. Also, هذا سؤال لك محمود for you.
تفضل.
How many IELTS point medicine in UK is how many years?
تاني السؤال معلش.
أعتقد and how many IELTS point I think needed and medicine in UK how many years?
الميديسن في
including
اليو
pathway يعني.
اوكي الميديسن في اليو كي 5 سنوات والايلتس اللي احنا محتاجينه 6.0 علشان تبدا في الجامعه بتاعتنا عشان تبدا الباثواي.
That's including the pathway, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, one year pathway and then 5 years. Sorry for that.
Okay, 6 years altogether.
Yeah. بالنسبه للطلبه اللي عايزه سوري خلينا اقول ده بالعربي. بالنسبه للطلبه اللي عايزه تدرس دنتستري او ميديسن طب اسنان او طب في مجموعه من الجامعات لازم تقدم لها عن طريق الملحق الثقافي وفي مجموعه من الجامعات لازم تقدم لها او تقدر تقدم لها عن طريق كرييتيف فيجن. فجامعه شيفيلد وكارديف دول الجامعتين اللي موجوده عندنا. شيفيلد لازم تقدم لها عن طريق الملحق الثقافي، ما تقدرش تقدم لها عن طريق كرييتيف فيجن. ولكن كارديف سواء دنتستري طب اسنان او سواء طب تقدر تقدم لها عن طريق كرييتيف فيجن. لسه الابلكيشنز او القبول بتاع الطب مش هنقدر مش مفتوح لحد هيبقى ان شاء الله منتصف شهر 11 او منتصف شهر نوفمبر. وانس ان احنا وصلنا لنوفمبر هنبدا القبول بتاع سبتمبر 2021 او شهر 9 2021. واعتقد من المهم جدا اللي المهتم بدراسه الطب يبلغ الاستاذ سماح واحنا عن طريقه هنبلغه نقول له والله اوكي القبول بتاع الطب او القبول بتاع طب الاسنان هيبدا دلوقتي وهو من خلاله هيقدر يتواصل معاك.
واعتقد ان في سؤال about من سلمى petroleum engineering in UK.
Yeah.
The requirement حق petroleum engineering.
يقول لك لان الريكوايرمنت انجينيرنج اكشلي عندنا الريكوايرمنت انجينيرنج في ابردين واحده من احسن الجامعات اكشلي في العالم في موضوع الطب سوري في موضوع الاويل اند جاس. I'm really sorry guys, it's almost midnight in Dubai, so just give me a second. Aberdeen. ثانية واحدة. تمام. الطالب اللي بيسأل المنهج بتاعه ايه؟ ثانوية عامة ولا اي جي ولا امريكي؟
سلمى ما ادري تبلغي لنا بس انت خريجة ثانوية عامة حكومة ولا خاص؟ عشان يسهل عليه انه يجاوب.
مفيش مشكلة. تاني سلمى لو تقدري انا اوكي Petroleum Engineering in the UK was required. سلمى عندك الموبايل بتاعي اللي هو ده تاني. اي اسئله مختصه بال القبول والريكوايرمنتس والكلام ده كله تقدري تبعتي لي بس او اللي حابب يعرف حطيت الموبايل بتاعي يا ريت تبعت لي المنهج او المقرر او الكريكولم اللي حضرتك او حضرتك منه وانا اقول لك على طول ايه المطلوب لهذا البرنامج او لهذا الميجر يعني في الجامعه دي.
Great. Thank you, Mahmoud, for all this things and all of this information. It was really helpful information, and we're looking forward for the student who is interested to study in the UK to contact us, and we will be very helpful for them, and it will be our pleasure. Leo, I didn't hear you today. Leo, are you there? Mary? Hello?
Hello, Samah.
Hello. Hi. Mary, we didn't hear from you today about the English language بالنسبة للطلبة اللي يحتاج انه يدرس لغة قبل لا يدخل الى الدراسة. فبدنا نعرف بعض المعلومات.
تكرم عينك. بالنسبة لجميع الطلاب أنا بعرف إنه أنتم صرتوا ملزمين بالنسبة لوزارة التعليم العالي إنكم تحصلوا درجة آيلتس قبل ما تتركوا دولة الكويت. بحب إنه تعرفوا إنه معاهد ELS يلي موجودة على مواقع جامعية معترف فيها من الملحقية الكويتية في الولايات المتحدة ووزارة التعليم العالي، عندها كذا معهد موافق عليهم ومعترف فيهم من الوزارة ومن الملحقية. أي طالب بحصل درجة الآيلتس وبده يطلع إلى الولايات المتحدة أو إلى كندا بيقدر يتواصل معي أو مع الادميشنز تيم ELS حتى يقدر يطلع ويتسجل بمعهد من معاهد ELS ويبلش بالليفل 108 إذا معه 5.0 آيلتس سكور. وبس تبلشوا بليفل 108 بضل عندكم 5 مستويات تتعدوا البرنامج. أي طالب بيخلص البرنامج كاملا يعني بيتخرج من ELS ليفل 112 بيقدر يعدي إلى 650 جامعة، ولكن بالنسبة للجامعات المعترف فيها من الملحقية الكويتية تتواصلوا مع الادميشنز تيم بالمقر الرئيسي لELS وهن بيلاقوا لكم الميجر يلي حابين انتم تتخصصوا فيه، الاختصاص المطلوب، ونتأكد انه يكونوا موافق عليه من الملحقية ومن الوزارة حتى تقدروا تعدوا الى الجامعة مطرح ما موجود معهد ELS. كل شيء بيلزم حتى تقدروا تحصلوا على I-20 وقبول مشروط من الجامعات. بدكم نسخة عن جواز السفر وبدكم خطاب ضمان مالي أو خطاب ابتعاث وكشف الدرجات لطلاب اللي تخرجوا من الثانوية، كشف الدرجات الثانوية لطلاب اللي خلصوا البكالوريوس، كشف الدرجات تبع البكالوريوس، ولطلاب PhD كشف الدرجات تبع الماجستير. ونحن بنقدم لكم الابليكيشن للغة وللقبول الجامعي المشروط. وقبل ما تتركوا دولة الكويت فيها مؤسسة ELS من خلال أستاذ سماح والتيم تبعه بالكويت يأمنوا لكم قبول إلى ELS بالمعهد اللي بتختاروه، I-20 تبعكم حتى تقدروا تحصلوا الفيز من السفارة الأمريكية أو السفارة الكندية، وبعدين قبول الجامعي المشروط يلي بموجبه بس تخلصوا برنامج ELS المستوى 112 إذا عندكم كل المستلزمات المطلوبة من الجامعة، خاصة لطلاب يلي مخلصين بكالوريوس وبدهم ماجستير أو مخلصين ماجستير وبدهم دكتوراه. في متطلبات أخرى غير اللغة، بس تكفوا المتطلبات كاملة بيكون فيكم تعدوا بالقبول المشروط يلي معكم إلى الجامعة مطرح ما أصدر القبول المشروط. إذا في أي طالب عنده أي سؤال أو فيني ساعد بأي نقطة بليز ما توفروني، وأستاذ سماح عنده كل تفاصيل رقمي والإيميل تبعي، وإذا بتحبوا I can share with you هلأ على الشات، وبتتواصلوا معي في أي وقت وأنا مستعدكم بأي شيء بقدر ساعدكم فيه.
في سؤال من عبد الله يسأل ELS admission for all مطلوب الآيلز عشان القبول؟
عبد الله انت بس تحصل ال 5.0 يلي هو متطلب من الوزارة
صحيح
قبل ما تترك دولة الكويت. هيدا ال 5.0 ما بيفوتك على ولا أي جامعة إذا كنت بدك تعمل بكالوريوس أو ماجستير أو PhD. الطريقة الوحيدة اللي فيك تستعمل 5.0 تتعدي إلى جامعة هي إذا بتفوت على الكلية، وما بعرف أي كليات مسموح فيهم في الملحقية الكويتية وفي الوزارة. ولكن إذا تسجلت في ELS وعديت البرنامج ما بيعود بدك ولا أي IELTS سكور تتعدي إلى الجامعة يلي هي متعاونة مع ELS وعندها عقد مع ELS إنه تقبل الطالب يلي بيخلص برنامج ELS مستوى 112 يعدي أكاديمياً إذا كفى كل المستلزمات، خاصة إذا أنت طالب ماجستير أو دكتوراه. إذا أنت طالب ثانوي بدك تعدي على البكالوريوس، الشيء الوحيد اللي بيلزمك هو شهادة ELS بالمستوى 112. بس تجيب الشهادة بتعدي إلى برنامجك الأكاديمي ومنك عايز ولا آيلتس ولا توفل ولا دولينجو ولا أي اختبار آخر. واضح؟
ويسأل عبد الله يقول ما هي المستندات التي أحتاجها للتقديم؟
عبد الله حبيبي، إذا أنت طالب ثانوي بدك تعدي على البكالوريوس كل شيء متطلب منك جواز سفر، خطاب الابتعاث أو ضمان مالي، وكشف درجات الثانوية تنقدر نقدم لك على القبول ل ELS وعلى القبول المشروط الجامعي يلي بموجبه بس تخلص برنامج ELS بتعدي إلى الجامعة من غير أي مستلزم آخر.
أهم في سؤال، أي جامعة مناسبة لهندسة الكمبيوتر؟ كثير من الجامعات عبد الله مناسبة حق هندسة الكمبيوتر. اليوم معانا مثل يونيفرسيتي سياتل يونيفرسيتي، واحدة من أفضل الجامعات في الهندسة، واعتقد السيد مرزوق الغانم هو خريج هذه الجامعة. وعندك هم سانت لويس، فإذا حاب معلومات أكثر ممكن مستر ويد هير يعطيك أكثر معلومات عن دراسة الكمبيوتر. في عندنا هني.
طيب خليني أقول بسرعة الجامعات المناسبة لهندسة الكمبيوتر في اليو كي. عندنا طبعا ساري وشيفيلد ولانكستر من أعلى الجامعات اللي موجودة عندنا في المجال بتاع هندسة الكمبيوتر، وكمان فيهم زي ما بنقول يعني ميجرز تقدر تدرس فيها مش بس هندسة الكمبيوتر، لا وكمان كمبيوتر سيكيورتي، يعني دول في اليو كي.
هو عبد الله تقصد أي دولة على أساس يصير أكثر تحديدا عشان يكون عندنا لك الجواب الأكثر؟ محمود، بالنسبة حق الدراسة في بريطانيا، الحين أنا وصلت بريطانيا، أوكي، التحقت بالدراسة. غير الدراسة شنو تقدر الدراسة في بريطانيا كيف تصقل شخصيتي أنا كشخص؟
ده سؤال كويس جدا. يعني بيسكلي الطلبة العرب أو الطلبة اللي جايين من بره انجلترا وحابين ان هم يروحوا يدرسوا هناك، سواء بكالوريوس او ماجستير حتى بعد كده، الموضوع بيفرق كتير جدا. انا واحد من الناس بدات دراستي البكالوريوس في مصر، وبعد كده رحت عملت الماجستير بتاعي في امريكا. الموضوع بيفرق جدا في كذا حاجه. رقم واحد بنقول عليها الاعتماد على النفس. كلنا في السنين بتاعتنا واحنا موجودين في وسط اهالينا وفي وسط اصحابنا والكلام ده كله، بنشتغل او بنتعامل بطريقه معينه، لكن وانس ان انت طلعت من المكان اللي انت فيه او من البيئه اللي انت فيها ورحت مكان تاني، في الحاله دي انجلترا، تدرس هناك، بتتغير جدا، بتتعلم حاجات عمرك ما كنت تفكر ان انت هتتعلمها وانت موجود في وطنك يعني. فرقم واحد اقدر اقول الاعتماد على النفس. رقم اثنين، ان بالنسبه لمعظم الطلبه المواطنين، سواء المواطنين الكويتيين سواء المواطنين الاماراتيين هنا في الامارات او هكذا، الموضوع بيفرق جدا، لان انت لما بترجع بعد كده وبتشتغل في اي مكان، سواء مكان حكومي او قطاع خاص، بيبقى في تعامل كبير جدا مع اكسباتس او وافدين من جميع انحاء العالم. فبتعرف ازاي تقدر تتعامل مع الناس دي، لان وانت موجود في انجلترا او انت موجود في امريكا اتعاملت مع ناس من جميع انحاء العالم، او زي ما حد من اخواتنا قال، من ناس من every corner of the map. فده موضوع برضو كبير جدا، مش هتعرف قيمته غير لما تروح وترجع وتبدا تتعامل مع الناس دي. رقم 3، الكواليتي بتاعت الاديوكيشن او جوده التعليم نفسها اللي انت بتتعلمها. جودة التعليم تفرق جدا جدا جدا، سواء في انجلترا، كندا، في امريكا، في اي مكان، عن جودة التعليم اللي احنا كنا فيه. معظم التعليم بره سواء في الدول اللي انا ذكرتها بيعتمد اكتر على الطالب، ودي معلومة مهمة جدا 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 للطلبة من الميدل ايست او من الشرق الاوسط، ان احنا لحد الثانوي بيبقى كل التعليم معتمد على المدرس، معتمد على المدرسه، معتمد على المقررات اللي احنا فيها. ولكن التعليم في الخارج بيعتمد اكتر على الطالب. انت كطالب عايز تدرس ميكانيكال انجينيرنج مثلا، عايز تدرس ماثماتكس، عايز تدرس اي حاجه، الفورميلا او المعادله اللي احنا دايما بنقول عليها ان 30% في الكلاس، 30% الطالب، و30% اللي انت بتتعلمه من البيئه اللي انت فيها. يعني ليترالي من الكلاس اللي انت فيه مش هتتعلم اكتر من 30% من السبجكت، هتروح البيت عندك هوم ورك هتتعلم اكتر عن السبجكت ده، ولما تتكلم مع ناس بيدرسوا نفس السبجكت اللي انت عايز تعرفه هتتعلم منهم تاني. ودي معلومه زي ما بقول، انا شخصيا طالب ماجستير وما كنتش عارف كده، كنت فاكر ان انا هقعد والدكتور يقعد يقول لي في حاجات وانا احفظها وخلاص، لكن الموضوع مختلف جدا. دول الحاجات اللي انا اقدر افكر فيها بسرعه يعني دلوقتي واحنا بنتكلم. لكن احنا عندنا طلبه سواء اولاد او بنات لما خرجوا اتعلموا، انا شخصيا قابلت منهم مجموعه قبل ما يطلعوا، وبعدين شفتهم تاني بيرجعوا يعملوا معانا بعد كده حاجه اسمها ستودنت امباسادور، يرجع يتكلم عن الاكسبيرينس بتاعته او الفتره اللي هو قضاها بره. الفرق في الثقه بالنفس والفرق في يعني بالانجليزي how they carry themselves مختلفه 180 درجه. انت طالب ثانوي او انت وخارج من مصر، خارج من الكويت، خارج من الامارات، خارج من اي مكان، وتروح تتعلم بره وترجع، الموضوع مختلف جدا 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 يعني.
شكرا. احنا وصلنا للنهايه. اولا انا احب اوجه first of all I would like to thank everyone who participate with us in the couple of days last and with all the information that they will provide for the students, and looking forward to work again and again and again, and we hope that we can do more events coming days, because I think the experience that we get from this event, this is the first event, virtual event for Kuwaiti students, so it was something new for Kuwait. So we try our best to do it in the right way, but we will not stop at this point. No, we will continue with coming days to do lots of events and cooperation. Now I want to speak to the students. أنا شاكر لكل الطلبة اللي معانا واللي استمروا معانا إلى نهاية الفعالية. أنا كطالب كنت في يوم ما وحطيت لي حلم وأصريت عليه وحققت هذا الحلم. أنا قاعد أقول لإخواني الطلبة اتبع حلمك، صر عليه، لا تستسلم لأي صعوبات تواجهك، أي صعوبات حاول تتغلب عليها، اعتمد على نفسك، خلي اختيارك نابع من داخلك، ثق بنفسك وتوكل على رب العالمين، وفعلا راح تحقق حلمك من خلال الدراسة ومن خلال أنك أنت يكون تحصيلك العلمي على أعلى درجة، وبالتالي تكون فعلا سفير لدولتك في الدول الأخرى، وأيضا راح تكون سفير للجامعة اللي تتخرج منها داخل الكويت. So if there is a final word from everyone, please, we can start with Carl.
Yeah, I thank you so much for having us. We appreciate all the students that have participated over the last 2 days, and all of the support and organization that went into making the 2 days of events possible. We hope you learned a lot about universities in Canada, about all of our universities, and stay in touch. Email us with any follow-up questions. We're always happy to help. And from York University in Toronto, thanks so much everyone for participating.
Thank you. Wade?
Yeah, I second that completely. And please, if you do have any questions about Seattle University or really just even studying in the US in general, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. Scott?
Again, just like to echo those sentiments. Thank you so much for the opportunity to connect with colleagues from around the world, and of course with the students. Thank you, students, for your great questions, your involvement, and I hope to keep in contact. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime you may have questions about studying in Canada and studying at Dalhousie University. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Catherine?
Just want to say thank you so much for hosting Sama and Zunaira. We really appreciate the organization and all the work that you guys did to host us and put everything together. And students, we really enjoyed talking with you in private chat. Thank you for your questions. And of course, happy to talk to you, as Wade said, about study in the US or study at St. Louis University. So thanks again.
Thank you. Shannon?
Yeah, just like everyone else, thanks for having us, and thanks to all the students. And just so all the students know that we're always accessible and happy to chat with you after this event. That's what our jobs are, is to help you with this process and give you information about our universities. So have a great evening. I know it's getting late there.
Thank you. Katie?
I echo what everybody else said. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you in any way that we can. Hopefully we'll see you somewhere in Canada in the next couple of years.
Thank you. Kelvin?
Yes, thank you again for having us. It was great to see some wonderful turnout today, and I was really happy to connect with my colleagues again from Canada, around the world. Thank you so much. And to the students, thank you for joining us. I'll echo what everyone else has said. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out. We're here and we're happy to assist any way we can. So thanks again.
Thank you. Mahmoud?
I think I'm going to be echoing everybody but in a different language. بجد مبسوط جدا ان انا قابلتكم النهارده. دايما يعني الواحد بيبقى مبسوط لما يجي الكويت ويتقابل مع الاستاذ سماح ويتقابل مع الطلبه الموجودين في الكويت. دايما الناس عندها اسئله كويسه جدا، دايما عندهم طموح كبير ان هم ان شاء الله يقدروا يسافروا ويتعلموا ويرجعوا يفيدوا بلدهم. افتكر احلى كلمه قالها استاذ سماح النهارده من ضمن حاجات كتيره قالها طبعا، بس احلى كلمه قالها ان انت دايما هتسافر تبقى سفير لبلدك بره وترجع. فان شاء الله رحت انجلترا، رحت كندا، انت سفير للكويت. ارفع راسنا هناك، وان شاء الله لما ترجع تبقى انسان احسن من قبل ما سافرت. شكرا ليكم كلكم ان شاء الله.
ماري؟ Mary?
Hello, Samah. I wanted to thank you and Zunaira for organizing these past 2 days and for including ELS in this event. It's been very educational and it's been great connecting with some colleagues and meeting new ones. وللطلاب جميعا، بعرف انه فترة صعبة وعصيبة على الجميع، بس تأكدوا انه نحن موجودين هون تنساعدكم بأي طريقة ممكنة، وأي شيء بيلزم أي طالب بالنسبة ل ELS أو دراسة اللغة الإنجليزية في أمريكا أو كندا، ما توفروني أو أستاذ سماح أو الأنسة زنيرة، وأي شيء فينا نعمل نحن موجودين لخدمتكم ولمساعدتكم. بتمنى لكم التوفيق وليلة سعيدة. Everyone, I wish you a good night, and Samah, thank you again. Zunaira, thank you.
Last but not least, Zunaira.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being here with us today. Unfortunately, we ran some technical issues today, but I'm happy with the outcome. And thank you all the students. We are always here to help you. You know our contact details. And I think what we are doing right now is we are giving the main way to bring everything online. And inshallah, we'll keep doing this. And there will come a time when the students will have the desire to come online by themselves, and we'll have great numbers in the future, inshallah.
And Stacy? Stacy?
Yes, I would just like to thank you for coordinating this event. It was a pleasure to participate on behalf of the University of Scranton. And if any prospective students do have any questions, I'm still available in the chat. And I wish everyone a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was my pleasure to meet you all, and hopefully we have strong relationship in the future and have more events that we can carry out all the questions of the students in Kuwait and from the Gulf region. Thank you, everyone, and hope to see you soon. مشكورين ويعطيكم العافية. شكرا.